Hello and welcome to the Secretariat. Well, it's Independence Day, and here's wishing you a very happy Independence Day from all of us here, from the entire team of the Secretariat. You're watching the Global Capsule. As usual, we're back with the Global Capsule, your weekly roundup of global news. Well, Sushma, it's going to be an eventful next few days. Of course, beginning with Mr. Wang Yi's visit to India. 18th August is when Mr. Wang Yi is expected to be here in New Delhi. He's also expected to meet NSA Ajit Doval. And that is quite a shift in terms of foreign policy dynamics. And I'm sure it's going to be closely monitored, not just in India and China, but across the world. What is your take, Sushma?
You are absolutely right, Mahua. It's a tremendous change. Things have changed very rapidly in the last 1 or 2 months. The fact that US President Donald Trump has attacked the BRICS bloc has actually brought them together. You find the Brazilian president has been talking to Xi Jinping. He said that I'm prepared to talk to Prime Minister Narendra Modi. There's the Prime Minister Narendra Modi himself is going to go to the Shanghai Cooperation Organization Summit in China. And now, of course, the Foreign Minister of China, Wang Yi, is coming here. These are all rather unprecedented events. The
And
relations
happening
between
very rapidly. The change has
very
been very.
yes, the change is really very, very rapid. We were looking at China, and China was looking at us with hostility. And suddenly we seem to have become maybe not friends, but we seem to have become comrades in arms, somewhat, you can say, because both are being, beleaguered by this Trump tariff wars or the attitude that he has taken towards the developing world and to the BRICS itself. So it's a very interesting development. I think that the arrival of the Foreign Minister of China, Wang Yi, is going to lead to a lot of opening up of ties between India and China. And honestly, I think that's a great thing. We are the two big economies of Asia, and if we can cooperate or collaborate, that would be wonderful.
And like you said, Sushma, I mean, Wang Yi's visit is going to open up a lot of avenues. Well, if we understand it in a little more details, it's obvious that a foreign minister or a high-level minister, a delegation will visit before a prime minister's visit, or things like that. It's a normal course. But in India China kind of an issue, it has that added X factor, and what's going to happen kind of a situation. Everybody watches, everybody knows that it is not going to be just a normal routine visit, though this is otherwise quite a normal in diplomatic sphere, right, Sushma?
Yes, absolutely. It's a normal thing in these visits between foreign ministers and top officials, top ministers to visit each other's countries. But the timing, as you point out, is very significant. And I think it's very important to note that India and China were having problems in terms of China not allowing supply of certain key items that India was importing. This includes rare earth magnets as well as even fertilizers. There were some fertilizers which were being held up by China, not in terms of a ban, but what they were doing was they were creating hurdles in terms of ensuring that you had to get a lot of bureaucratic approvals. Now, all that has actually been already ironed out. But the fact is that those issues stemmed from the distrust that you had between China and India. And now, because, as I mentioned earlier, because of the US president attacking the entire BRICS group, there's a feeling that, we should band together and we should take on a person who has sort of become the bully of the world.
What you said is absolutely right, Sushma. In a way, actually, President Trump has has sort of catalyzed, has acted as a catalyst to this entire dynamics, India, China coming together, which for many, many years, many experts have been saying that it is only proper for India and China to sort of forge cooperation because in economic terms, we are quite dependent with each other. But at the same time, nothing really moved until President Trump came and put in this tariff war, and the entire dynamics changed. Well, also I was going through the Chinese media, Chinese newspapers, websites, and there's been a drastic shift in their tone as well. They have welcomed, most of the newspapers have written extensively about Modi's visit to China. They have welcomed this decision of Prime Minister Modi to SCO, visit China for the SCO summit, and they have all sort of said that it's going to be boosting solidarity. It's going to sort of boost mutual cooperation. So in a way, even the Chinese media has been very proactive in pushing that it's time for India and China probably to rewind and to sort of start a new chapter.
Absolutely. And of course, we must remember that the Chinese media is very much controlled by the Chinese government. And what appears in the Chinese media, it kind of reflects what the government feels. So that means the Chinese authorities themselves are feeling that we need to really recalibrate our ties with India. We need to, in fact, have a second look at it. And of course, Mahua, you rightly pointed out, there has been, in the past also people have said that the two countries should cooperate and collaborate. We have a very deep economic relationship. In the sense that there are about probably 700 to 800 Chinese companies operate in India. We have also had a large number of Chinese venture capitalists investing in our unicorns. That, of course, has reduced in the last few years because there's been a kind of distrust of Chinese funding coming into India. So some big companies like Paytm, which were largely funded by Chinese organizations, have actually, been kind of forced to reduce their exposure to Chinese finances. So we are very much inextricably linked to the Chinese economy. And similarly, you have so many Indian companies which have branches in China. So and they're also trying to sell their goods over there because it's a huge market. So I think this is also it's very interesting, and I think it's a very positive development.
Sushma, let's move on from India and China and focus a bit on Trump and Putin meet. That's another highlight, and it's going to impact the entire world. Now, of course, there are lots of ifs, buts, Zelensky, but how do you see the situation?
That's a big one. And as you say, a lot of ifs and buts. And if you can add any other adjectives also, everybody's looking at it. I think what's interesting is that President Trump has said that, 2 minutes into the meeting, I'm going to know whether this is going to be a success or a failure. But of course, this is one of his grandiose statements, which he constantly is making. He throws out these kind of things and he says, I know because I'm a deal maker. So that, of course, is, I think, a bit of fun which we can enjoy. But the fact is that President Putin is certainly no pushover, and he would have come with certain demands. And one of the demands is probably to extract a much larger area of territory in the Ukraine than probably they are controlling right now. So he would have come. He will probably come with that kind of proposal, which obviously would not be acceptable to the Ukraine. So I don't think it's going to be such an easy thing as President Trump is talking about. And also, of course, what's very significant is that the person concerned is the president of Ukraine, Zelensky, is not in the meeting. And the President Trump says, "Well, we'll have him in the second meeting." So that's not exactly very fair, but that's how Trump operates. So I think I don't think we should expect too much from this first meeting.
How do you see India getting impacted by this, by the outcome of the meeting?
Yeah, so of course, if the meeting is positive, if there is some move towards peace, and I would say some move, that itself would be positive. That in the sense that if Putin is prepared to meet Zelensky and hold talks on uh, some of the issues which they highlight in the first Trump-Putin meeting, uh, if there is some move, then towards peace, then India can look forward to the fact that the sanctions, Western sanctions on a whole range of issues, may be gradually withdrawn. And then, of course, this contentious issue of India buying Russian oil might not loom so large in the minds of not just Trump, but also in the eyes of the Europeans. And of course, I must say here that this is completely double standards, because European countries are buying a lot of natural gas from Russia. The United States is buying uranium from Russia, and still they complain about India, buying oil and fueling the Russian war machine. That's completely unacceptable, and of course, the Indian government has said so. The other thing is, of course, that India has been targeted instead of China by Trump. But the very fact that you move towards peace will be a welcome development as far as these sanctions are concerned.
Let's talk a little about Pakistan's credit rating. Of course, we saw how Moody's on Wednesday raised Pakistan's credit rating by a notch. And of course, it's obvious that, they've done a lot of back kind of work to appease the US. They're doing a lot to basically appease President Trump. Now, of course, Moody's has raised Pakistan's credit rating, and now, of course, Pakistan's finance minister Mohammad Aurangzeb is hoping for a rate cut for their central bank to cut rates, and that's going to be a positive impact on their economy. But how do you think this Pakistan-US relationship ties, the switch in their foreign policy for both countries, would really impact China? Because China and Pakistan have always been close allies.
So, as far as Moody's is concerned, first of all, I'm quite amazed to find that such a reputed ratings agency has raised Pakistan's credit rating. I mean, the whole world knows what the economic status of Pakistan is. I mean, we don't have to spell it out. A country which has taken an IMF loan, over 20 times, and which has not been able to repay the loans, which has not been able to conform to the loan conditionalities, a country which is dependent on the United States and China for everything in their economy. So I think Moody's has its reputation itself. I think needs to we will probably come down a notch by having given this higher credit rating to Pakistan. And of course, we must remember that these rating agencies, which are looked at with great awe at the time of the 2008 financial collapse, they were giving high ratings to Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, which completely collapsed and led
Collapsed,
to
yeah.
this whole
Yeah,
situation.
yeah.
So we need to take all this with a pinch of salt. As far as US and Pakistan ties are concerned, it seems to be driven, it's a purely personal thing on the part of Donald Trump, who seems to have entered into certain deals with in Pakistan as far as cryptocurrency is concerned. And a lot of analysts sitting in Washington, D.C. are horrified by the fact that he is alienating India and that he is holding hands with a country which is a hotbed of terrorism. So, as far as China is concerned, uh, it must be looking at all this with a sense of alarm, because it has been cultivating uh, in Pakistan very carefully over the years as a counterbalance to India. And it has invested a lot of money into that country. Obviously, another reason for Donald Trump becoming close to Pakistan is to wean it away from China, so that the US can use this country, as it has done over the past so many decades, as a base for whatever it wants to do in Central Asia. So what we call the Great Game in Central Asia. So China, as I said, would be looking at this rather unhappily, but But Pakistan is a country which, unfortunately, will probably go to the highest bidder. I mean, whoever gives it more. So it's fine, and whoever wants to use it, I think it's unfortunate that the country has gone that way. I can only feel sorry for the people who live there.
Right, Sushma? We'll have to wait and watch what happens next week, interesting times ahead. Thank you so much. And wishing all of you a very happy Independence Day once again.